I think we have a couple of people in here now, so we can start. Cool. So my name is Anya Sunyakubaya. I will be your host for today's webinar. And the webinar title is Go Legit and Legalize Your Business. So essentially, a lot of us are starting side hustles, we're starting entrepreneurship, what do you call them? Entrepreneurship activities, but for the most part, we remain small and we remain constrained because our businesses are not compliant. So today's free webinar is to address that, to help you get your business compliant in South Africa. Okay, so like I said, my name is Anisu. I'm from a company called Graceful Media, and we are essentially a digital media company. We do PR, we do graphics, we do social media, and we do PR and strategy, and we also train, hence this online webinar. You will forgive me. I had a flu, so my voice is a little thick and hoarse. I will do my best to articulate myself better so that you can all hear and understand. If you do not hear me, if there's something you want me to repeat, just raise your hand and I shall do so. Okay, let's dive right into it. So why are we having this Go Legit webinar, right? First and foremost, we want to understand the legal foundations of starting a business in South Africa. Our session objectives, right? Why are we having this webinar? What are we trying to achieve with it? And first and foremost is that we want to understand the legal foundations of starting a business. And what that essentially means is that are you compliant? If the government were to walk into your place of business right now, would they say, awesome, you can continue running, or are they going to shut you down? Do you have the systems? Do you have the documentation that shows that you are a business? And those are some of the things we're going to cover today. Then secondly, we want to identify the key compliance requirements across different sectors. One thing that is very different about the South African business economy is that for each sector, there are different things that are required. So for example, in other countries, you just need the core compliance. We're gonna call it that, the core compliance. That means that you just need the basic, and that's it. But in South Africa, you need the core compliance that every business needs, and then you also need industry compliance that is specific to this to the sector that you're in or to the industry that you're in, and you also need to be compliant in that. You can't be compliant in the other without the other. Then thirdly, we want to highlight as a business you have obligations towards the government. There are certain things that you need to do for the government for you to operate in South Africa. And then you also have certain financial obligations. So you have certain things that you need to have in place that make you compliant as a business, that allow you to get permission to operate. And we're also going to cover that. Then number 4, we want to learn how to set up compliance systems to avoid future issues. So we don't want to just be compliant for the sake of being compliant. We want to be compliant for a reason, right? If it was that there were no compliance systems, there were no issues that we foresee for businesses that are not compliant, then why would I need to be compliant? But I need to be compliant because if I am not, there are repercussions. If I am not, there are consequences that myself as a business owner, but also my business will suffer if I don't do that. And that is also why we are having this webinar. And then lastly, we want to provide you with tools and resources that you can use that will step away from this webinar with and say, okay, I have learned so much. I can action A, I can action B, I can action C. Okay, so those are the reasons, the objectives we have for this session. At the end of it, we want to have addressed all of these things. Why does business compliance matter? Why is it important, right? From the beginning, I've just been talking about compliance, compliance, compliance. But why is it important for you to be compliant? First and foremost, being compliant makes it ensures that your business is legally recognized, right? And it's also protected. If you are compliant, nobody can ever come and say, for example, SARS can never come and say you owe them money because you are compliant, right? You have done everything that you need to do for SARS in order for you to operate. Nobody can ever say, your business is a scam because you have proof that it's not a scam and you can show them we are registered, we have this, we have this, we have this, and we are compliant. So being compliant gives your business weight, it gives it respect, it makes sure that people take you seriously and also shows people that you take your business seriously. Then, secondly, is talking about trust, right? It says that being compliant ensures that investors will trust you. So people can trust you with their money and help you grow. Then it also ensures that customers trust you. That means that they can trust you with the money and get a product that they are they can give you a product that they are, what do you call it, they are happy with, right? They are content with trading their money for whatever it is that you are giving them. They know you are legit. And then lastly, suppliers. A lot of the time as a business, you need to borrow from your suppliers. And if your business is not compliant, they're not going to trust you because you're only going to give them money later. There needs to be a form of trust. But with a compliant business, they know that you're legit, you're not going to run away. You've put in all of this work to make your business compliant. So you will stick to your word. And then thirdly, you need to be compliant to do any business with the government, right? To do any business with corporates. A lot of corporates will always ask you for compliance. They're not just going to give you money, they will ask you, are you compliant? So that is also very important. If you are a person who says, in my business, I want to go after funding, first step is always to be compliant. Then another reason why business compliance is important is because it prevents fines. So every time, say you were compliant for 1 year and then you stop being compliant, every time you lapse, they start fining you. They will give you penalties. You can't operate in certain sectors, so you can't continue doing business. And the worst case scenario is your business is shut down. They'll come and close you down, and we really don't want that because what's the point of starting a business just to get it shut down? So being compliant is really, really important, and it also ensures that you do business professionally. Inside the business, when you're the person who has to take care of checks and balances, it is always helpful to have systems and procedures. And for example, if you know that you need to submit to SARS, SARS is going to ask you for returns for a year. That means that for a year you're going to comply by making sure you keep your books up to date because you need them for that thing. That means that's a check and balance that you might also need, for example, for funding, because they're going to ask you where you're putting your money. So it's very, very important to make sure that internally you have systems and procedures that help you stay compliant when the time arises. Then next we're going to talk about types of businesses. So the first step to compliance is registering a business. And in order for you to know what kind of business you're going to register, you need to understand what types of business structures are available in our country. So first of all, you have a sole proprietor, and essentially what that means is that you as the individual are the business. The drawback with that is that there is personal liability. And what personal liability means is that if you borrow something under the business name, that and the business fails or goes bankrupt and closes, the person who the business borrowed from can come and, for example, take your TV in your house as form of payment. They can come and take your personal things because you and the business are one thing. Then, secondly, you get a private company, and a private company is a separate legal entity. It's got what we call limited liability, and it's the perfect company if you want to scale and grow big. Separate legal entity means that, like in my previous example, if somebody were to come and say your business borrowed, they cannot take your TV as payment because your business is a separate person legally. It's a separate entity. Me and the business are not one thing. So my personal thing are my personal things, and the business's things are the business's things, essentially. Then, thirdly, you get a partnership, and a partnership just means there is two or more people who share responsibilities and profits. That means that if a business makes 10,000 and there's five of us, 10,000 in profit, each of us get 2,000. Essentially, that's what it means. It can be tiered, it can have a percentage breakdown, but it needs two or more people to come together to create the partnership. Then we also have what is called a non-profit company. And what a non-profit company is that it operates like a company in every facet. It works for profit. They're selling things, they're getting a profit back or services and something like that. But after all expenses are deducted, the profit doesn't go to a person, it doesn't go to shareholders, it doesn't go to partners, it doesn't go to the owner of the business. The profits are taken and they are reinvested. Reinvested either into the business in order to grow it, or they are invested in things like your Alan Gray, your old mutual, who take the money and grow it in investment somewhere else. But they do not get profits as a company. That's why it's called a non-profit company. Then the next one that we have is a cooperative, and a cooperative means shared ownership. So typically, this structure is used for things like farming, community ventures. The closest example that I can think of is like a burial society. So everybody contributes, and when it's time, one person gets at a time, or we all split whatever we contributed, almost like a stock firm. That's how it works. But it's a registered entity, it's legal. That means if somebody does something wrong with it, they can go and take you to court, they can fight you to make sure that you pay back what it is that you need to pay back. Cool. Compliance is for you to understand what kind of business do you want. Is it a private company? Is it a cooperative? Is it a partnership? Is it a not-for-profit? Né? Or is it just a sole proprietor? All of these things are things that you need to consider. After you know that, what is the next step? And now these are the things that we're going to talk about. Say I want to register a private company, right? The next step for any of them, even if it's a not-for-profit, even if it's a cooperative, you need to go to CIPC. And CIPC is the institution that is responsible for registration of companies, of trademarks, of logos, and all of those things. This is where you go to say, I live in South Africa, I have a business, how can I operate legally? No? And the first thing that you do when you go there is you register your business name. You need to register the name. How are we going to know who your business is, especially if it is a separate entity? You are not the business. That means that the business needs a name. Then secondly, you need to know the business type. Yeah? We spoke about that on the previous slide, so you know what that is. Then next, you need to submit annual returns. Yeah? And these annual returns are just a show to say that I do operate, I am, what do you call, I am trading, and that this business is a viable business. People do buy from me. I also buy from other business. I need to continue existing because I am working. That is the reason why we submit annual returns. Then once that is done, you now need to go and register for SARS. So SARS is responsible for tax. Ne? This is the government tax. So registering for income tax should automatically happen when you register at the CIPC. That means that once you register a company, automatically you are registered for sales, which also means that every year, in order for you to stay compliant, you need to send a report, an annual report to SARS and say, this is how much I made, how much tax do I owe you guys. Yeah? Then another thing that SARS does is VAT. So if you're a company that makes more than R1 million a year, or if you're a company that trades a lot with companies that ask for VAT, then you would voluntarily say, I don't make R1 million, but I want to be registered for VAT. And then in those instances, you would then become VAT compliant. And the way that it works is that if you are a VAT registered company, they will say, how much VAT did you spend in a year? So for every single thing that you were charged VAT on, how much money did you pay in VAT? And then as a company, you are also selling to people. Then they'll say, how much VAT did your clients pay you, right? And then they'll subtract, say, this is how much you paid in VAT, this is how much you got in VAT. If whatever you paid is more than whatever you got, that means they owe you. Then the next thing that we want to talk about is financial compliance. And what financial compliance is essentially keeping track of the money and doing it well. Because one of the things that happen is that if we don't track the money, number one, we can't convince investors and get funding. Number two, we are going to start running at a loss and we won't even know it. Even if somebody were to steal money from you, you wouldn't know it. So it's very, very important for you to be compliant financially so that you can answer for whatever it is that is asked of you. And sometimes it's not even an investor. SARS can come and say, you're not paying tax. Why are you not paying tax? How do I know that whatever you say you earned is really what you earned? Like, those kinds of things. So it's always, always good to have financial records that are kept correctly and accurately and professionally. Cool. Let's talk about financial compliance. So first of all, as a business, you need to open a dedicated business account. Né? And the reason why you want to do this is when you have a bank account, every time you withdraw that you EFT and it's business related, that is all that you're going to see in that account. It's not going to be in between the grocery money or in between school fees and rent, then you find a business expense. That's just going to be very hard to track. But when everything is in one place and is accounted for, you could literally say, even if you don't have proper books, you could say, this is my bank statement. We don't handle cash. Everything we do goes through the bank, and this is what I have to show for it. So first point of contact, have a bank account. Then secondly, you need to keep accurate records. Every time you buy something, every time you sell something, yeah, make sure you keep those records. Bank statements as well are very important, because if I come and say, I didn't buy this from you, but I bought it from you, there's no proof if you don't have a receipt. If somebody says that, if you say that I bought a car for the business, but the car dealership has no record of it, then how do we know that you actually bought the car? Those kinds of things. Because as a business, for as long as you operate, somebody somewhere down the line is going to ask you for these records, and it will do you a disservice if they are not correctly kept. Then after doing these two things, the third thing that you need to do is to submit, ne? Annual returns, like we spoke about. You need to submit them to CIPC every year. You need to submit them to SARS every year. And then if you're registered for VAT, you also need to submit your VAT receiving and giving. And you need to do that every second month, every 2 months, right? Then tax returns are also done annually. It's not frequent, just once a year. Another thing that can help you in being financially compliant is looking for resources like Sage or Zero, QuickBooks that will help you to invoice, that will keep track of your receipts when you buy things, that will help you stay on top of quotes and those kinds of things. And there are also free versions, so don't just say, oh no, everything has to be paid. But there's also free versions of these things. You can just Google Sage free version or something like that, and Google will always tell you this is something similar to Sage but for free. And the next one, you need to set up a SARS e-filing profile. This is just to make it easier for you to submit your returns so that you don't have to go and stand in a queue every month. You can do it online and it's quick, it's easy. If you even have to claim back and things like that, they'll also do it for you. Then lastly, when it comes to financial compliance, if you're not sure, if you think it's a lot, if you know you're not going to do it accurately, if you have the funds for it, hire a professional. Hire somebody who can do it for you. Because sometimes it's better to outsource than to try and do everything ourselves, because they are the ones who know better. They've been trained in this field. Then on the next slide, we're going to look at HR and employment compliance. HR and employment starts with contracts. No? You're going to hire people. What are the terms of their service? How much money are you giving them in return for their time? Right? So the first thing that you need is to have a contract that is compliant with the basic conditions of Employment Act. You also need to look into this act and see what it says and how you can tailor what is in there for your business contract. Then the next thing that you need to have policies on leave. Yeah? How much leave do you give your employees? What is your overtime policy? How does that work? Sick days, vacation time, family time, things like that. You need to have policies in place that if somebody comes to work now, they know exactly how they're going to implement each of these things. Then monthly, you need to submit some declarations to SARS for UIF and pay as you earn, to say I have an employee and this is how much they're paying for UIF, this is how much they're paying for pay as you earn tax, and stay compliant with those things monthly. Then, of course, in order for you to submit UIF, you need to be registered with the Department of Labor for UIF. You cannot submit UIF for a person if you're not registered. So you need to go to the Department of Labor, either the website or an office, and get yourself registered. The next thing to keep yourself compliant with HR and employment is you need to display these posters, or you need to put them in a book or a file that is easily accessible, that is visible for everybody to see, that whoever has queries regarding any of these policies can easily access them and let you know whatever the problem is. You also need to ensure that your workspace is fair and there's no discrimination for certain races, certain genders, certain religions, those kinds of things. It needs to be a fair and safe space. Then lastly, for HR as well, you need to be compliant with the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Then, like I said at the beginning, every business needs core, what do you call it? everybody needs core compliance, but it is also very, very important, right, to have industry specific compliance. So, for example, there's licensing based on each sector or business type. If you are a bar, you need a liquor license. If you sell alcohol, you need a liquor license. If you're selling food, you need health certificates. If you are in hospitality, then you need a tourism license. So for each of your businesses, you need to figure out, do I have a sector compliance that I need to be compliant with? Do I have an industry specific compliance I need to be compliant with? This is also where industry bodies come in. Like, there's a body for doctors. You can't be a doctor if you're not if you're not registered. The same goes for business. Being, for example, with us in marketing, there's a body that is responsible for marketing for businesses that are in marketing, and it's a community of such businesses, and they help you with resources, they help you with events, just finding like-minded people and opportunities for businesses like yours. So also try and find out that kind of information as well.